Welcome to another episode of the FERRO podcast. Today we're discussing Jimmy Butler getting a new look. James Harden's trying to get a new team. And according to LeBron James, the Lakers got a new face. All the gots and a lot more. Stay tuned for the FERRO podcast, the Media Week edition. Let's go.
I want to salute you, homie, for building your own thing and doing your own thing.
Why build theirs when I believe I can build my own?
You've already done it, or I wouldn't be here.
I'm already the only elite sports and music journalist in the game today. My goal is simple, to be the best there's ever been. So, please don't go. Make sure you subscribe and follow the journey. It truly means everything to me. I tell stories, I talk music, I cover sports. I am culture. I am FERRO.
Embiid bullies his way inside, out to Harden for the three. Got it!
Welcome to another episode of the FERRO podcast. Get on in here. Sit down. You work too hard any darn way. How about you give yourself about 30, 45 minutes to just relax and enjoy some great basketball talk with yours truly, the one and only FERRO. This episode is dedicated to Media Day. I'm going to call it Media Week because I'm a couple days behind. But I don't want to waste no more of your time. I know you're on your grind. Let's get right into Media Week. The biggest story comes out of Philadelphia, where James Harden is kind of with the Philadelphia 76ers. So Philly has been dealing with the James Harden fiasco. He demanded a trade away from Daryl Morey and Philadelphia this past offseason. Philly has let it be known that they've tried to acquiesce to their star guard's trade request. The reality is Harden wants to be a Clipper, and the Clippers are only offering so much. So James had been away from the team to kick off training camp. He did end up joining the team for training camp. They started off in Colorado. They're actually playing against the Boston Celtics, I believe, in the preseason. Harden will not be suiting up. According to Woj at ESPN, James Harden still wants to trade. Initially, his goal was to make the Sixers uncomfortable by showing up to training camp, but not really being a part of training camp. Apparently, James kind of realizes that, it doesn't feel like the trade to the Clippers is going to happen right now, and he may have to be around Philly for a few months longer to get what he ultimately wants. Woj said the Sixers, on the other hand, they want to wait this out and hope they get the best James Harden, the best version sooner than later. There's not a deal out there that can get the kind of assets that they think they can get to improve their team. Harden, as of right now, is still a part of the Sixers team. Let's swing over to another great reporter. Shams over at The Athletic says sources tell him the Clippers have been offering one unprotected first-round pick for Harden, a pick swap for Harden as well. And apparently Philly has responded with, hey, we want Terrence Mann as well as multiple first-round picks. Well, if Shams is correct, which he normally is, I think the Sixers' asking price is way too high. I think if you're going to try to do the Terrence Mann type of trade, for me personally, I feel like James Harden for Terrence Mann and maybe a pick swap is enough. I think Terrence Mann's got an incredible future ahead of him. The Clippers held on to him for a reason. And look, maybe you don't think Terrence Mann's game is anywhere near where James Harden is at this point in his career. I understand what you're saying completely, but that doesn't really matter, though. It matters how the Clippers see him. And the Clippers, time and time again, have let it be known to teams over the last couple years, we're open for business, but Terrence Mann is not on the table. I could argue, from what we've heard, it appears that Paul George has been more available than Terrence Mann, which tells you that he's valuable on the Clippers in their organization, which means trying to trade for James Harden, in which the Clippers could use more star power and more guaranteed star power at the top of their roster as they get ready to go to their new arena really, really soon here. It would be nice to have James. He plays more games than Kawhi and Paul George do. He was really good for the Sixers in the regular season last year. I think he's still got at least a couple years left of great point guard play for a squad. But the reality is James has let it be known to everybody when he was in China that he wants to be traded from Philly. And that's not great business for the Clippers. So what I believe this is going to come down to is a game of who starts out worse first. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, if they get off to a bad start, will they then say, all right, we got Embiid. Embiid's about to get unhappy. The Knicks want Embiid. There's no secret there. All right, we got to try to find a way to make Embiid happier before this dude demands a trade out, right? James is the link that feels like he's the guy that's ruining the locker room. If that's the case, then I think at that point in time, we will see the Sixers more open to business and maybe look back at that unprotected first-round pick and pick swap offer that Shams is, alleging the Clippers to have been available to do with the Philadelphia 76ers. On the Clippers end, obviously, they got Kawhi and Paul George coming back from injury. There's probably one in the last 3 years we've had Kawhi and PG starting the year off healthy for the Clippers. If one of those dudes were to go down, if not both, obviously knock on wood, you don't hope that. I could see Steve Ballmer, the Clippers owner, saying, I don't want to do this, but, I went to a Clippers game last year in LA and, they got a nice thing going. It's not the Lakers, obviously. They got a nice thing going where they have a good amount of season ticket holders. I was actually shocked by that. I understand it's LA. I understand people are always looking for stuff to do out in Los Angeles. I was shocked at the support that the Clippers had. So you got to give them something worth paying that money for if you're not going to get but so much of Kawhi and Paul George every year. If the Clippers start off bad, if Kawhi and PG don't look as healthy as they claiming that they're going to be, I can see the Clippers opening up for business. Again, this is a game of who is worse first. I think will end up being the deciding factor if the Clippers are going to budge on James Harden or Terrence Mann for James Harden, or if the Sixers are going to budge and take a lesser value that doesn't include Terrence Mann from the Clippers for James Harden. We shall see. I thought what Matt Barnes said about the James Harden situation was probably the most valuable advice he could get, which is why I'm happy to see Harden pulling up to training camp instead of sitting out and pulling the old Ben Simmons route of going to training camp and doing nothing, right? Matt Barnes on his All the Smoke podcast said, I think James needs to be careful because the NBA doesn't need him. The NBA doesn't need him no more. All of us are for player empowerment, but he forced his way out of Houston. He forced his way out of Brooklyn. And now he's trying to force his way out of Philly. He's got so much talent and a lot of game left. He could talk his way out of the league with his talent, which is crazy. And Matt's not lying. Nothing that what Matt Barnes said is a lie. James is a fantastic Hall of Fame first ballot dude, but the reality is he's in his mid-30s. He's at the point now where he's 2 franchises away from the franchise that he will be known as a part of, which is the Houston Rockets, right? So he's getting further and further away from that Houston Rockets legacy. Keep in mind, he never won a championship in Houston. There's nobody that's going to take care of James Harden. If you listen to Stephen A. Smith and buy into what he's saying on First Take, he claims Ime Udoka and the Rockets were going to trade for James Harden, but they kind of got disinterested when they found out James Harden had interest in trying to be the leading scorer in the league again. They're like, wait, we don't want you to do that. We got Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, and all these young bulls. We don't want you to be the leading scorer, James Harden, anymore. We want you to be the Harden that you was in Philly last year. So James clearly is disconnected in his value, disconnected in what teams want him to be. And this is one of the weird ones. I don't believe James Harden needs to be a guy trying to drop 35 a night like he did in Houston in his prime. James Harden, as the point guard of the Philadelphia 76ers last year, was a really great player. I thought got screwed out of that all-star bid out the gate. But it appears James doesn't want to be that. What he's actually really great at is being a point guard. But he wants to be the scoring guard, which is why I think that disconnect, like Matt Barnes said, could end up with him being out of the NBA if he doesn't play his cards right and he really makes Philadelphia mad at any point this season and the Clippers are disinterested.
That's why Monty was the man. One of the best officials in the game and one of the best.
6 dimes. Embiid sizes up O'Neal, spins, fires, got it. My goodness.
I want to keep it in Philadelphia. It was announced via Joel Embiid that his plan is to not only be a part of the 2024 Olympics in Paris, Joel Embiid will be a member of Team USA. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is interesting because many of you know Embiid is originally from Cameroon. Apparently, for Embiid, though, it not only came down to Cameroon, but also France was a part of his short list. He ended up deciding that if he's healthy enough, he'll be a part of Team USA, which means he'll be joining what appears to be LeBron, Durant, Steph, and how about Kawhi Leonard already pre-committing to be a part of the Olympics in 2024. On the decision, Embiid had this to say online: "I'm really proud and excited about it. It was not easy. I am blessed to call Cameroon, France, and the USA home. After talking to my family, I knew it had to be Team USA. I want to play with my brothers in this league. I want to play for my fans because they've been incredible since the day I came here. But most of all, I wanted to honor my son who was born in the U.S. I want my boy to know I played my first Olympics for him." All right, I'm with everything Joel Embiid said except the son part. Like, stop it. You don't think your son would be proud of you representing the country that you were originally from, representing the continent that you were originally from? You made it from there, and now you're the biggest athlete to come from there. The son part was ridiculous, Embiid. You could have left your innocent kid up out of this one. Part of me loves Joel Embiid's decision. I got to be honest with you guys. I respect this man coming over to this country, making a lot of money in the NBA, and saying, yo, I got to be grateful for USA. This is better than what I had back in Cameroon. This is better than the life that I had in France when I was there. This is the place that made me a legend and has created possibly generational wealth for Embiid's and people connected to Embiid for hundreds of years to come. So you got to respect Joel Embiid for paying it back for the Team USA. There's also this sick, sinister part of me. I got to be honest with you guys. Your boy FERRO sometimes goes on his sinister will. And a lot of times I feel like he's just me being honest. But a lot of times, sometimes in the world, my honesty can kind of feel sinister. Part of me is like, all right, Joel Embiid, do you really want to be a part of Team USA? Or do you not want to go get your ass kicked by 40 points being a part of Cameroon or France, which is actually, not going to be that bad. But you're looking at what we see. You see LeBron, you see Derrick, you see Steph pre-committing. Now Kawhi and Devin Booker are probably going to be a part of Team USA. We ain't even gotten to the bench yet. You looking around thinking, oh, man, that's going to be a legendary lineup, and I can be the starting center for that legendary lineup. Man, this feels like a layup. I can probably get out there and play 15 minutes a night, and we're going to win that gold medal going away in Paris. Are you looking at it like, yo, I just can do the least amount of work and get the most amount of gain by being a part of Team USA? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sinister in my approach at time, but you cannot ignore the obvious. With LeBron, Durant, and Steph already pre-committed to Team USA, it's an easy selection if you're on the fence already about making the selection. And I will end with this. This is the one thing and the one caveat I'll be looking forward to all season long. I'm obviously not looking forward to injuries, but knock on wood, we're talking about LeBron, Durant, Steph, and Kawhi, who are guys that are all in their 30s. LeBron's closer to 40 than he is 30. These other dudes are closer to mid-30s, right? Knock on wood, 1-2 of these guys have a couple injuries that keeps them out of the Olympics next year. I wonder if guys like Joel Embiid will start to pull away from their pre-commitment to the Olympics. Only time will tell. Joel Embiid is heading to Paris to represent Team USA, according to him. Congrats to Embiid on his decision.
We're bringing Draymond back. We don't know what the numbers will be, but he's coming back.
LeBron James believes Anthony Davis has officially taken over as the face of the franchise in LA. On Media Day, LeBron said, AD is the face. You look at all these retired numbers that surround this facility, all these greats that have come here, and AD is one of them. So I want to respond to where I believe Anthony Davis fits in the Laker regime in a second. But what I first want to do is acknowledge the hard work that LeBron has put in with his relationship with Anthony Davis. Let's take a step back. If you remember around 2017, 2018, Kyrie Irving wanted to trade out of Cleveland. LeBron, who I think was out of the country at the time, he was away. I remember that part of the puzzle. He told the Cavaliers GM, I think it was Kobe Altman, right? He said, yo, I understand Kyrie's unhappy, but let him come back to training camp. Let me deal with the unhappy Kyrie Irving I'd rather have an unhappy Kyrie instead of no Kyrie at all. The trade offers you're saying that we're going to get back for this dude just don't equal up to the talent that Kyrie Irving has. That's what LeBron wanted. The reality is the relationship and the sweat equity wasn't there for Kyrie and LeBron to work it out behind the scenes. Kyrie wanted out, and he was persistent to that Cavaliers organization that he wanted out. He ends up getting traded to Boston. The Cavaliers get a haul back, but it wasn't great. It was led by Isaiah Thomas. That Cavs team, if I remember correctly, they started out pretty slow. LeBron goes on to have an incredible run to end that season, right? But the reality is the Cavaliers were never really a championship contention team outside of LeBron playing that maybe arguably the greatest we ever seen anybody play in that 2018 postseason run. They really never had a chance outside of expecting LeBron to be the second coming of Jesus Shuttleworth. Seriously. So LeBron, who knows how important it is to have a great co-star, no disrespect to Kevin Love, but what worked in Cleveland was all about the greatness at the top, that 1-2 punch in LeBron and Kyrie. LeBron knows, okay, I'm dealing with younger guys than me. I'm the oldest guy in the league right now. Everybody that I have as a co-star in my career, they're younger than me. Heck, I'm getting close to the point where some of my teammates are now younger than my oldest son. So if you're LeBron, he understands how relationships matter. The one thing that I did not like about LeBron's relationship with Kyrie was he couldn't help himself in post-game interviews, pre-game interviews, whenever you talk to LeBron, when he referenced Kyrie, it almost was like kind of a subconscious type thing. It felt like he would always call Kyrie the kid. Y'all remember that, right? Like every time LeBron referenced Kyrie, who could have went out and scored 40, 50, LeBron would be like, the kid is just really good. The kid is just, I'm a grown man is what Kyrie's saying. Like, LeBron, nobody was calling you a kid when you were 24, 25, 26 years of age. You were a man at that point, a grown young man. Stop calling me the kid. That was cool when you first got back to Cleveland, but we won a championship together in 16. I'm a man, bro. Respect my growth. And I just feel like subconsciously LeBron always looked at Kyrie as little bro. What I love about what LeBron has done with Anthony Davis is he's tried to make sure AD feels closer to him as possible, right? Because if you look at Kyrie and Anthony Davis's ages, they're around the same age, right? They're around the same age. If maybe he's older than AD, it's close. It's really close, right? I don't know it off the top of my head. I know AD is 30. I don't know what age Kyrie is specifically, but it doesn't feel like LeBron has ever tried to little bro AD. In fact, we've seen the opposite. LeBron has went out of his way to try to give AD his jersey. It appears AD didn't want the dang thing, and now LeBron's back on the 23 wave. He's went out of his way to say great things about AD, even when a lot of us believe AD probably deserves some tough love from LeBron with all these damn injuries that he's had. LeBron's been 35, 36, 37, 38 playing with AD, and there's no reason why Anthony Davis, who was in his 20s most of that time, should be as injured as LeBron, if not more injured than LeBron, with all that man has given the game of basketball. Pretty much spent a decade in the finals straight while Anthony Davis was watching LeBron from the house because his team went in the playoffs. So I feel like LeBron's went out of his way to not little bro AD. You ain't never heard him call AD the kid. You've never heard that. And I respected the work that LeBron has put in. And I think calling AD the face of the franchise is just taking that love and the respect and trying to build AD up more and more. As we know, it clearly seems like AD needs to be built up, right? The reality is, though, nobody in Laker Nation believes that, because LeBron James got to understand this. With his brand, there are oftentimes things that he can micromanage. They can control narratives with the LeBron James brand. The Lakers are bigger than the LeBron James brand, or have been bigger, at least historically. They were here before. They'll be here after. And LeBron's got to realize he can't control what fans see day in and day out. You can't tell us that AD's the face of the franchise when you're coming to work more than AD is, because we can't even get to the on-the-court stuff. LeBron's not wrong about the production Anthony Davis provides on the court. But LeBron also knows deep down the reality is we're only getting that on-the-court production 40, 45, 50 games. As great as he is, if we're not getting it consistently, you can't be looked at as the face. One of the biggest, if not the most important part about being the face of the Lakers franchise is being there to be the face of the Lakers franchise. That's with any franchise. Because you got to think some of the Lakers faces that they've had in the past was uber durable guys like the late, great Kobe Bryant, God rest his dead. Even Pau Gasol in his prime was more available than Anthony Davis. The crazy thing is Shaquille O'Neal was a guy that could give you 68 games a year, 70 games a year. And the thing with Shaq, it was like he wasn't injury prone in his prime with the Lakers. Like if he missed some games, he'll miss a few games here and there, but more times than not, Shaq was available. And this was a dude that was banging and banging down low night in and night out of his career. He had nowhere near the skill set that AD has, which presumably can give AD some breaks and allow his body to not be as banged up as a Shaquille O'Neal. So what I'm telling you is like LeBron can say AD's the face of the franchise all he wants. The proof is in the pudding, baby. That transition will happen organically. LeBron cannot force it with his mouth. Pause. Anthony Davis being the face of the franchise. It has to happen on the court. That's it. We will not shy away from this transition. LeBron fans maybe will, say, hey, our guy's still the best. There is the best on the Lakers. But Laker Nation will willingly allow AD to take over those reins. It cannot happen in the offseason on media day, though. It has to happen on the court. LeBron's words can't be what makes that transition. It's got to be on the court.
Martin on him. Jokic drives down a lane. Layup is good. Finds Strus back to Lowry. There it is. Three-pointer. Won't go. Rebound. Paul won't poke. They're not going to foul.
The Denver Nuggets are about to start their defense of their NBA championship. On media day, Nikola Jokic was asked about his offseason and how much he had been around basketball. And Jokic giggly said a couple of times, not much. Now, I don't know if Jokic was playing or trolling or had he genuinely just taken this offseason off. And I want to be fair to Jokic, right? Jokic has been balling the last 4 years. And I know a lot of casual NBA fans have just got on the Jokic train last year. Y'all didn't believe in him because, he didn't fit your style of player that you like to watch on TNT on Thursday nights. I get it. I really do. Jokic has been balling for a long time, and his hard work is undeniable. Clear as day, Jokic has given the game of basketball a lot. I'll be honest with you, though. I haven't liked Jokic over the last few months. It's kind of started for me. I was obviously rooting against Denver in the playoffs. I got a lot of Jokic fans on my platform. It's cool. It's whatever. I was rooting against the Nuggets. I didn't think they would win a championship, and I didn't want them to beat my Lakers, obviously. But the reality is Jokic balled out. He was incredible. And, towards the end of the run, I didn't like some of the comments Jokic had made and, kind of saying nobody wants to play basketball. I'm ready for this to be over. I'm like, yo, you play basketball for a living. If this were other athletes talking like this, there would be different comments. We would start talking about how insensitive it was in relation to the world right now being in a crisis all over. People trying to, we're in the country, at least, we're pretty much in a recession that hadn't been acknowledged, right? I just think a hooper, I don't care who you are, making $40, $50 million a year, nobody wants to hear you complain about playing basketball. It's like nobody wants to do their job. You play basketball for a living, bro. I hate when athletes do that. And for some odd reason, because it's Jokic, we don't call it like we see it because he's big and giggly and, a big teddy bear, right? We don't call it how we see it. I'll call it how I see it. I don't care. I didn't like the comments. They felt insensitive to people who work jobs and work hard to make sure Jokic can get to a basketball court and play basketball, right? It just is what it is. It was insensitive to anybody out there that doesn't have a layup, no pun intended, of a career. Jokic also made a reference to not knowing Deion Sanders, who's obviously in the Colorado area. He is the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes in Boulder. And if nothing else, Colorado has been very loud because of the hype that Deion has brought to their collegiate football program. And Jokic kind of, shook it off and was like he didn't really know much about Deion in Colorado. And I was just thinking again, another one of those comments where it's like, what are you talking about? You live in Colorado most of, if not all the year. I understand you've been enjoying yourself in Serbia with your brothers and celebrating your championship. You've been back for a minute now, though. Bare minimum, how do you not know who Deion is and what Colorado's got going? So you're not playing basketball, so you can't tell me you've been consumed with the game. You don't know who the Colorado Buffaloes and what they got going? You don't know nothing about what Deion's been doing? I just think it's insensitive to the local area, the local markets. Like, well, while your team, Denver, has been on their vacation, Jokic, that whole region has been consumed with what Deion's been doing there in Boulder. Again, I just think those comments, if they came from somebody else, they will be received differently. But everybody thinks Jokic is cuddly and can do nothing wrong, so we don't receive him negatively. I thought that was a very insensitive comment. I'm probably one of the leaders of this. I don't see a world where I can root for the Nuggets next year because I don't like the rhetoric that's coming from Jokic. And if he's serious about only touching the basketball a couple times this offseason, my question is, will we start to see the regression in Jokic? We reported to you guys a couple of days ago about how Austin Rivers, a former teammate of Jokic, has said he doesn't believe Jokic is going to be a guy that plays in his late 30s. You got to really ask yourself, why is Austin saying that? Well, partially it's because we know Jokic looks at the NBA as just a job. He said it. And then he also, it's not a guy that's going to be grinding it out on the defensive end later in his career. He's not doing that in his prime. He's an incredible offensive talent, first ballot Hall of Famer. But for me, it's kind of like you don't think Jokic is going to play late in his 30s because it appears like he likes horse riding more than he does the NBA, which is to each his own. Can we start to see the regression? He's already got his championship. He's already stitched his name in the NBA as one of the greatest forwards and centers of all time, to me at least. I wonder, will we start to see a little bit of a regression of a guy that's been playing at the ultimate level over the last 4 years, in my estimations? Y'all let me know what y'all expecting out of the Denver Nuggets and their star, the reigning finals MVP, Nikola Jokic. I ain't been really feeling his comments lately. I don't know. They've been kind of feeling a little insensitive to me. It's almost like this guy that's been known to be this humble dude is kind of forgetting where he came from. I ain't liked it. I have not liked it.
Leonard runs into traffic. Double team comes. He finds Highland. Highland misses a three. Westbrook with the offensive board and put back. And one.
Let's get a couple quick hits out of the way. Russell Westbrook will be returning as a Los Angeles Clipper. I actually think they got him on a discount. When asked, does he think this year for LA is a championship or bust, Russ said championship or bust is not a real thing to him. That's a thing that people make up. You could accomplish a lot more. You can create brotherhood. You can learn about people. There's so many lessons I've personally learned throughout the season, friends, that I've added. That's from the desk of Brody. I think that's absolutely BS. My question for Russell Westbrook would be, why would fans care about your brotherhoods that you create? Like, what the hell does that matter to me? Look, I'm paying for your entertainment. That's what we're doing. You're entertaining me. You're providing great content for me to consume with my eyes. Okay, if it's about a brotherhood, Russ, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather sit on my phone and watch people create brotherhoods on TikTok. I don't got to pay no money. TikTok is popping right now. I'm going to be honest with you. The dance that these young bulls be coming up with, I'll sit down and watch it for hours. I could keep my money. I could keep my time not supporting you if it was about a brotherhood. Look, Russ is just doing what he can to be a good team leader, you know, to try to downplay expectations. So when you over-deliver, you can act like you didn't say comments like this at the beginning of the season. But my question is, for a fan, what am I supposed to do with that? Excite me a little bit. Say, yo, we got Kawhi and PG in the building. I'm back. We going for this thing. Russ is downplaying the expectations because the reality is, number one, he doesn't know if he'll make it through an entire year with the Clippers. The last few years for Brody been a little shaky, despite him being available all the time and still a great hard worker. Right? The reality is he doesn't know how this is going to end for him or when this is going to end for him. And number two, he for damn sure don't know about Kawhi and PG and their availability throughout the season. He got there and they couldn't even pretty much match him for 20 games down the stretch of last year. So this is just Brody trying to downplay expectations. So if things go left, y'all can't say Brody said it was about a championship. He's like, don't put it on me.
Great deflection by Paul George. Highland behind the back. Kawhi Leonard says.
Speaking of the Clippers, you don't hear a lot from Kawhi Leonard, but he had some things to say about the load management conversation and the new rules that have been implemented by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver On Media Day, Kawhi said, when I was with the Raptors, it was different. I was coming off of an injury. You have to know the details. If the NBA is trying to mock that, then they should stop. Again, keep in mind, Adam has implemented rules in which teams will be fined up to $1 million if multiple star players are missing games. The NBA has defined what they look at as stars. I think technically by this definition, the Clippers would have 3 stars, technically. So Kawhi is saying, yo, if this was done because of me not playing, he's saying, yo, I'm really injured when I don't play. And you have heard that around the NBA, right? We have heard that Kawhi Leonard is, not trying to fake the funk. He does the right things with his body. It just appears with the style of play that he plays and maybe some bad advice that he's gotten from a doctor in the past. His body just won't allow that burn, that tax that is being a professional athlete. I posed this question earlier last season on the platform, and I'll ask it to you guys again as we close this one out. Is Kawhi Leonard a player that gets injured often or an injured player that gets healthy often? That's the question that I got for you guys. I am not the second coming of a great philosopher, but that is one of my better bars.
Tatum, no. Holiday will give it a go. Got it.
Milwaukee traded Jrue Holiday, a guy that had been a staple, a part of their organization, and helped them deliver a championship back in 2021. Jrue is now a Boston Celtic following 2 trades that landed Milwaukee Damian Lillard. How about Jrue Holiday's wife, Lauren Holiday, speaking up for her man and not really liking how things ended in Milwaukee? She posted, I'm sharing this so people can see the humans behind the business transactions because contrary to the cliche, it's personal, meaning there are people's lives that are affected. It's never just business. On Wednesday, my husband took a nap. He woke up to the news that he had been moved. No warning, no heads up, not even a conversation that it could be a possibility. Just it's done. Now move on because it's not personal, it's business. Lauren continues, so yes, this is more than business. Not because we're offended by it, but because we are people, we are humans, we have relationships, dreams, and the connection where we play. As I write this, we are grieving the loss of that while celebrating the hope and joy of what's ahead. The growth is in allowing ourselves to feel this pain now and turn it into power for how we move forward. That's who we are, and that's who we will be. I usually don't do videos like this. I don't really like speaking about, players, significant others. That's really never been my thing. But I do think this is a valuable one because I think what Lauren is describing is important, right? Look, these are multi-million-dollar athletes. You make a lot of money to play basketball. Most people in this country do not have the luxury to do that, right? I don't want to take away from the hard work that these athletes put in, but come on now, this is a privilege and a blessing. Let's not forget that. But what I think Lauren is doing is just describing something different. She's talking about the cold business that is sports like the NBA. Even though the money is guaranteed, your location is never guaranteed unless you're LeBron James or Michael Jordan. And even Mike left Chicago. Even LeBron has moved around a couple times because of business and not liking what business was like from teams, right? Lauren is saying her husband, Jrue, knew nothing about the potential of a trade. Not that he needed to know every detail about a trade, but the fact that we were that close to training camp and it didn't even feel like a possibility that her guy could be moved. And I did not think there was a world in which Jrue Holiday, coming off the great season that he had, is one of my favorite point guards in the league. The great season that he had last year, even though the Bucks didn't finish great, they lost to Miami in the first round. It wasn't Jrue's fault, to me at least. I understand Jimmy Butler got the best of him, but I can always argue back. Chris Middleton has been the downfall of the Bucks the last couple years, not Jrue Holiday. And the fact that Jrue got moved kind of out of the blue for a talented Damian Lillard, which many people will argue will make them a worse team because of Dame's deficiencies defensively and the questions that surround Middleton and the questions about Giannis' future, right? Like, and I don't know that. I obviously think they're going to be explosive on offense, but there is an argument that can be made that trading Jrue for Dame doesn't fix the problems that Milwaukee's got. So Lauren is saying, yo, we didn't even know that there was a chance we could even be dealt at this spot this close to the season. It didn't happen in July. It didn't happen in August. Like, yo, we're pretty much about to start training camp here. Our kids have already started school. Like, dang, man. And I heard nothing but great things about Jrue and Lauren as people. So you get a guy like Jrue in your organization. He's not only going to be great for basketball, him and his wife are going to invest into the community outside of basketball. They're humans, so they've made relationships with people. They've done for Milwaukee. I'm not, again, feeling empathy for multi-million-dollar athletes. All I'm asking you is a couple of questions. Should NBA athletes conduct their business differently? Because the Milwaukee Bucks did what they had to do to make their team better in their eyes, or at least make their team different in their eyes, right? They traded Jrue Holiday, a guy that has done nothing but do good things in their organization, helped them get a championship just a few seasons ago. Well, what if Lauren and Jrue say, okay, we going to Boston now. It's just business. We ain't finna be a part of the city of Boston. We're not going to ingratiate ourselves. We're not finna be doing donations. We're not finna be giving. We're not finna spend our time doing things to make ourselves a part of the Celtics community because we don't know how long we're going to be here. And because y'all have no obligation to keep us here. I'm just saying, what if athletes start to keep it straight on the business tip? And that doesn't mean not do your obligations. You know, if Drew's got to do a couple of commitments, a part of the Celtics a couple times a year. I'm saying he still does that, but what if they don't do good things for people? What if they say, nah, this is a business. I don't want to get to know Mary down the street that's my rich neighbor because I don't know how long I'm going to be around Mary. I'm not going to be given to all these different organizations because these teams will trade me in a heartbeat. Maybe I'll take my money and put it into my hometown. Right? I'm not saying don't do great things. I'm just saying, what if we change a little bit the tone if you are a professional athlete? I think that's what Lauren's saying. Like, yo, we've done great things. We're connected to this community. We didn't even realize there was a chance. And again, I didn't expect Milwaukee to say, yo, we trying to trade you for Dame, bro. Because you don't want to mess up the business that you got on the table. But part of that is you traded one of Giannis's best friends without one of Giannis's best friends even knowing that there was a possibility.
Dexterity at his size, he's a tough cover for anyone. There's ball from the baseline. That's where he's amazing. That mid-range.
You gotta love the growing relationship between Draymond Green and his new Golden State Warriors teammate, Chris Paul. On Media Day, Draymond was asked about CP3, and Draymond was honest. He said, if you ever watch Chris compete, he's kind of an asshole. He's also one of the most competitive guys that I played against. I'm also an extremely competitive guy, and I'm not backing down from anyone, and he's not backing down from anyone. So I've loved Draymond's honesty with Chris Paul. He dang sure ain't punching Chris in the face like he did Jordan Poole. What I love about what Draymond is doing with Chris is he's being honest. He's like, yo, this dude has been one of them ones in our era that we've had to battle with, battle against multiple times over. He's been a thorn in our side. Now, we've been on the dub end more times than not, no pun intended. But, Chris has been a guy trying to dethrone us over the years. Now, we finally have been able to pretty much get him to conceive and join us. If you can't beat us, join us is pretty much what CP3's done. But I like what Draymond did. As a matter of fact, a couple months ago, I heard him, making a comment about an interview that he did a year ago. A year ago, Draymond did a podcast, and he was like, yo, I don't like Chris Paul at all. And then, once the Warriors acquired CP3, Draymond pretty much has said, yo, I'm not backing off the comments I made. I did not like this dude. We don't have a relationship together. I'm summarizing. He was like, yo, no, I don't like Chris. He's on our team now, so I'm going to figure it out. But I have not liked Chris historically. And let me be the first to say, I like the on-the-court fit of Chris Paul with the Golden State Warriors. I've watched him a little bit in the preseason. I think it's going to work. I think Draymond Green is going to be very happy with the production that Chris can bring this squad. I think when you deal with Draymond and his suspensions, he's always going to be one of the leaders in technical fouls. By the way, Chris will be there as well. When one guy is down, you'll have another guy, another high basketball IQ guy that's very much so capable of giving Steph and Klay the balls in spots that they will like it. Chris is a savant of the game of basketball. And look, his days of averaging 22 and 11 are done. But that doesn't mean his mind isn't as sharp as it's ever been, because it is. And that doesn't mean that he can't still be a valuable cog to the Golden State Warriors puzzle. A team that I have not made my final picks on who I believe is going to come out of the West or the Eastern Conferences just yet. I will be making them up in the upcoming days here as we get closer and closer to the regular season start. Golden State's darn near the team that I'm going to pick. I'm thinking about picking them. And it's in large part due to that acquisition of Chris Paul, which, as much as I think Jordan Poole's going to have a fantastic year with the Washington Wizards, sometimes it just comes down to fit. And what the Warriors needed to do was make a decision. Are we all in on a championship, or are we all in on the next regime post Clay, Draymond, and even Steph? It appears that Warriors organization said, look, man, Steph is still playing at a crazy level at age 35. We got to maximize this dude's opportunities to win more championships. We're trading James Wiseman. We're trading Jordan Poole. We'll hang on to Jonathan Kuminga because the talent is so great, and he's shown us some signs of coming around, right? And we need some big men help, and he's uber athletic. But other than that, we're moving in the direction of championship or bust. There are no question marks about where the Warriors are at this year. It's all about a championship. Nothing else would matter. Their direction is 1,000% clear and precise going into this year. And a lot of that's got to do with them acquiring Chris Paul. So I'm excited to see how he meshes with the Warriors. I think it'll be seamless.
Over the top to Butler. Up and in! Jimmy Butler ties the game with a half second to go. What a play call. Milwaukee had a timeout and didn't use it.
Jimmy Butler showed off a new look for Media Day. Jimmy said he's emotional right now after the Miami Heat failed to acquire Damian Lillard. He's now a Buck. So this is his new emo look. When asked about the trade that brought Dame to Milwaukee instead of Miami, Jimmy said, I'm more pissed that Dame went to Milwaukee because he went to Adrian Griffin's team. Everybody knows I don't like Adrian Griffin at all since my Chicago days. Jimmy went on to say, I don't tell anybody how I feel. I just handle it accordingly, but I am happy for Dame to be somewhere where he's wanted. He has a chance to win a championship. I'm still going to be me. I'm going to go be Dame, Giannis, and Adrian Griffin on our way to a title. I love that energy. I love that mindset from Jimmy Butler going into the year. I love that type of, and that just gets your boy excited about the season. And for the record, y'all, Adrian Griffin and Jimmy go back, like he said, to the Chicago days. There's no real beef. As a matter of fact, I've heard Jimmy in the past credit Adrian for some of his growth that he's had over the years. But Jimmy's an ultimate competitor, and he wants to beat Dame, Giannis, and the Milwaukee Bucks, even behind first-year head coach Adrian Griffin. I love that. I love that energy. I cannot wait to see these two teams face off in the regular season. You know, in NBA land, it's not often that you get excited about regular season matchups nowadays. It's usually all about the playoffs. The only thing I will say, though, is, number one, Jimmy Butler, I'm pissed at you for doing that stupid emo look on Media Day, because I cover the NBA and I create a lot of content night in, night out. Anybody knows I use, obviously, the players' updated photos year in, year out that they take on Media Day. Now I got to sit here and look at this doofus with a perm every night of the darn season that I cover a Miami Heat highlight. So thanks, Jimmy Butler, for that. But number two, I am concerned about Miami, though. Seriously, though, not only did they not acquire Dame, they also lost guys like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. They already wasn't a team that just takes the regular season as serious as possible. Let's keep in mind that they had to fight to get in the play-in tournament, let alone the playoffs, and then caught Milwaukee not playing good ball, and they beat them, give them credit, and then beat the Knicks. But let's keep in mind, this was a 8 seed going into the playoffs, and Chicago, I thought, was going to win that game against the Miami Heat to make the playoffs. Be clear, like, this ain't a team that comes out of the gate firing on all cylinders oftentimes. It takes them a little minute. They don't have the talent to wait around and get it together around February or March. They can't afford to start this year off 17 and 18 or like 9 and 12. They don't have the time to do that. They don't have the talent to do that. So we shall see. But I think more than just not acquiring Dame is the fact that it appears that the Miami Heat were all in on acquiring Dame, and the moves that they made were to get Dame. And because they didn't get Dame, and because the Dame situation in Portland took so long to play out, they didn't really have an offseason. They didn't replace losing Max Strus. They didn't replace losing Gabe Vincent. I do like bringing in my Vol for Life Josh Richardson, who I think will be a good fit back in Miami, but that ain't enough. And I like Josh. That ain't enough to replace what they lost in Gabe, Strus, and not getting Dame. We shall see.
Back it up. It's over. Pels.
No.
Get it done. And on the spin and the reverse, the slam by Zion. I know you didn't like it.
Zion Williamson is not only happy in New Orleans, he is apparently healthy, which I'm sure Pelican fans are happy about. On media day, he said, New Orleans, it's home. It's still upsetting that I have to sit up here all the time and have to tell the people that this is home for me. This is where I want to be. But being in the city a lot more in the summer, it was dope for me. Running into people in New Orleans, it's family. It was love always. So far in Zion's still very young career, he's given us 24 games in 2019, 2020, following him being drafted #1 overall. Remember, he started the season late. And then in 2020, 21, he gave the Pelicans 61 games of work, which is pretty good. The problem is he wasn't able to finish the season. And many people like self-believe had Zion been healthy, he would have been able to give the Suns a run for their money in the postseason that year. If you remember, they were dealing with some injuries around that time. In 21-22, obviously, Zion missed the entire season. And then last year, Zion gave the Pelicans just 29 games of work, got their hopes up. They were playing great basketball. And then around January, he got injured against the Sixers, and we really never saw him again, if we're being completely honest and candid about the situation. Look, man, the reality is Zion needs to just be available for one whole damn season. That's it, man. Look, I don't even care if the Pelicans have a great year. I actually do think if Zion's playing, they're going to be really tough to beat. The reality is I just need to see Zion for 1 year. So we kind of compare Zion to Joel Embiid on this platform. If you remember, Joel had a lot of injuries early in his career. It feels like that moment where Zion or Joel Embiid really turned it around was after getting eliminated by the Toronto Raptors off that game winner by Kawhi Leonard. From that moment on, it just feels like Embiid just rededicated his body to new heights, decided to be in better shape and be more available for Philly, and he's now the MVP of the league, So I don't know if Zion's had that moment yet. I don't know if it will take something on the court to bring that moment out, or just will missing games be enough to pull that out of Zion. I just know we're teetering with that area, or we're close to the spot where Joel Embiid was able to figure it out. Because I do believe there becomes a time in everybody's career, no matter what they do, where the person paying you's got to, kind of balance, can we build around you or not? We got to factor in how available you are at your job before we can even get to how good you are at your job. Can you be that good 75, 80% of the year? And for Zion, thus far, that has not been the case for him most of his young career. Obviously, I think what helps Zion in a lot of ways is, number 2 in the same class of him, his South Carolina brethren, Ja Morant, is still trying to figure some things out. If Ja didn't have the off-the-court stuff, I think we would look at Zion a lot worse than we do. But because of those things surrounding Ja off the court, it doesn't allow us to kind of focus on Zion on the court, which has been non-existent most of his career. I love Zion, the player. I hope he's available for the Pelicans more times than not. I think he is a phenomenal talent. The problem is it's tough to win regular season games building around a guy like that with the amount of, him not being available as often as that has happened throughout his Pelicans career. He claims he's happy to be in New Orleans. We heard the New York Knicks rumblings over the last couple of years. We shall see. More importantly, he's healthy. I think it's funny that Zion said New Orleans is home. Obviously, he's had some offseason stuff happen, And I also think, with him re-upping and getting that new contract kicking in, despite the injuries, I wonder how much factored in with the fact that Zion hadn't been healthy. Hey, these people paying me a lot of money despite my injuries. Yeah, I love it here. I've always loved it here. I wondered if that kind of clean up any rumors of Zion wanting to be a New York Knick. Only time will tell.
Ease our way into it. You said you just ripped the Band-Aid off. Rose. Floater, yes.
Ja Morant's got a new backup point guard in Memphis once he returns from his 25-game suspension. But how about Derrick Rose on media day letting it be known that he's the backup, not the babysitter? D. Rose told the media, look, I'm not here to babysit, micromanage, or anything. I'm not here to be a plant in the locker room or any of that. I'm here to help guys win. I'm not here to steal minutes. I'm not here to steal nobody's job. I'm here to win. Once again, I'm here to show that I have a lot left in the tank just for the record. Derrick Rose is now 35 years of age. Man, where did this time go? I remember being a kid in the 8th grade watching D Rose lead the Memphis Tigers, which was the college that I loved and thought I was going to attend at the time, being from Memphis, watching him lead the Memphis Tigers all the way to the NCAA championship game in which the Tigers lost to Kansas, one of the greatest college basketball games ever. Derrick Rose is 35. Wow. So Ja Morant's 24 years of age. He's got incredible expectations. He's got an incredible future ahead of him. I hear the comparisons of Ja and D Rose. If I'm being honest with you guys, I actually think it's a lazy comparison. I get it. These are two once-in-a-generational athletes, and what they can do with the basketball in their hands, attacking the rim, it's ridiculous, man. When Derrick Rose was clicking on all cylinders, he was an incredible point guard to watch. I get it. Ja Morant's obviously a point guard as well. There's a quick comparison there. I'm not trying to act like it's not there. They also both get to the free throw line in an incredible clip with the way that they attack the ball. But I want to point out the clear differences between D Rose and Ja Morant's game. Number one, Ja's going to surpass D Rose as a better shooter at their apexes. It's not going to be close. Ja's going to be a better shooter than D Rose. You can see him already getting better at a significant clip year in, year out with the shot. Derrick Rose was much more relentless in his approach and not just getting to the rim, but finishing in strategic ways. Obviously, D Rose played with a ferocity to him, but D Rose would use that layup a lot more than Ja will. Like, Ja is trying to take your head off at the rim, and I love it from a highlight perspective, but obviously that can't last forever. D Rose would also pull up and use that mid-range jump shot a little more. Like I said, I do believe Ja is going to be either attack the rim and then use that outside shot. When that doesn't work, we'll see if he is able to implement a floater in his package down the line. Ja's just so talented. My thing, though, with the Ja and the D Rose comparisons, at the end of the day, Derrick Rose is a much more subtle leader, quiet, let his play doing the talking. Ja Morant leads with those emotions. Let's keep in mind, Derrick Rose was a highly touted player for many, many years in that Chicago area, right? Ja Morant was a late bloomer coming out of South Carolina. So to me, I understand the comparisons. There's something there, but I don't think these are one-to-one comparisons just because these are two phenomenal athletes at the point guard position. I like what Derrick Rose said. A lot of people are not going to like what he said. It kind of reminds me of a statement that a fellow Tennessee pro athlete made a few years ago. If you remember, Ryan Tannehill, the starting quarterback of the Titans, was kind of reluctant to ingratiate guys like Malik Willis. Malik Willis was a drafted quarterback that the Titans clearly had high hopes for. And Ryan Tannehill was kind of like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. Like, yeah, if he takes my job, it is what it is. But don't act like I just got to be good with him taking my job. Like, and that's kind of where Derrick Rose is. Obviously, he's not the starting point guard, but he's letting it be known to everybody, yeah, I'm here to, like, compete and be the best version of me. Like, I still want to finish my career the way that I want to. It feels like D Rose has kind of found out a way to play below the rim at this point in his career, still be effective. And yes, he's going to be a mentor. He's going to be a leader in the locker room. But I think D Rose is trying to let it be known, if Ja Morant goes off the deep end, don't attach that to my body and my legacy. I don't want to be talked about 5, 10, 15 years from now when we bringing up Ja Morant. And we're hoping that this doesn't happen. I actually think Ja's going to clean it up and figure it out. He's young. But I'm assuming D Rose to be like, I don't want people talking about Ja Morant's career and they're saying, yeah, D Rose when D Rose got there, it only got worse. Ja wasn't listening to him either. D Rose is like, wait a minute now, that's a grown man. And D Rose is letting, without saying it, this is me talking here. I feel like D Rose is kind of like, hold on now. I was the face of a franchise. I had that responsibility that Ja had. And I didn't fold. And if we're being completely honest, at this moment in time, as great a talent as Ja Morant is, he has folded under the bright lights. And I'm talking about he's let it be known that peer pressure is killing him, literally. And again, hopefully the young bull figures it out, makes the changes to his life. He's letting it be known that he's trying to find ways to cope. He's using alcohol. Derrick Rose is like, hold on now, wait a minute now. I had those expectations, and I was prospering until my body gave out. I was going so damn hard, my knees said no more. No mas. So I do think D Rose is trying to make sure there's a, I don't think he wants that title of being only brought in by the Memphis Grizzlies to mentor Ja Morant. I actually think it's going to create some healthy competition. I think in these practices, obviously Marcus Smart's going to bring a lot to the table. But also, I think Derrick Rose is really going to push Ja. I don't expect D Rose to practice every darn day. But, I mean, D Rose has incredible moves, still incredible ball handler. And I think D Rose is going to get opportunities to compete and play ball a lot more than Tom Thibodeau gave him that second time around there in New York. And I do believe Derrick Rose is going to be a valuable cog to the puzzle. I mean, he's replacing. The truth of the matter is the real replacement is Derrick Rose is coming in, assuming that the Grizzlies start Marcus Smart next to Ja when Ja does get back from suspension. Derrick Rose is being asked to be the backup point guard, now replacing Tyus Jones. I think that's more of the conversation. Can D Rose run this offense as efficiently as Tyus Jones did? He was a phenomenal backup point guard that oftentimes took the Grizzlies to the next level on offense when Ja wasn't able to go for whatever reason, right? So I love D Rose saying, look, I'm going to give this dude everything I got, but let's just say he's non-responsive. Don't attach that to my body. That ain't my legacy. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Like, he's a grown man that's going to make his own decisions. And bringing me in is to bring me in as a player, and hopefully that rubs off on Ja. But I'm not finna be babysitting, watching this man all around Memphis. That is a young, grown man that's going to have to learn to make better decisions, for the most part, on his own.
Durant quickly to Beal. Bradley Beal rises and fires and fills it. Cade guarding Bradley Beal. Booker with a shield guarded by Cade. Durant now against Beef Soup, playing with 2 fouls. Durant fires the 3 and it's through.
Bradley Beal is ready to start the next juncture in his career as a Phoenix Sun. And boy, is Brad speaking highly of his new group of guys. He said, it's amazing to be a part of this. This is easily the best team I've ever been on. Devin Booker can only get better. He's kind of just scratching the surface of how good he can be. The sky is unlimited for Book, according to Bradley Beal. He went on to say, it's kind of tough to put into words how he's feeling right now, being a part of the Phoenix Suns. Has got huge expectations after acquiring Kevin Durant at the trade deadline and then going out this offseason and not only moving off of Chris Paul, but bringing in a talent as immense and in his prime as Bradley Beal. Suns also moved off of their big fella, former #1 overall pick, DeAndre Ayton, in favor of Yusuf Nurkic. Now the new big 3 is here. Devin Booker showed me some great stuff as a point guard in that Denver series, despite the loss. How much is left in the tank of Kevin Durant? How will Brad Beal acquiesce being off the ball probably more than he ever has had to be in his professional basketball career? All this and more on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Now, I'm looking forward to the Suns next year. I'm serious, man. I got to have them as one of my top 3 contending teams out west. Not so sure how I believe this team will phase in the playoffs, but from a regular season perspective, assuming Kevin Durant can give you what he's been giving you, which is about 55 games, you got to believe this team is going to win a lot of regular season games. There are just going to be nights in the NBA. The Phoenix Suns are playing one of the teams that are, bad out east, like the Orlando Magic. They're just going to overwhelm them with talent. If they're playing a team that's got some talent, like the Oklahoma City Thunder, I expect those games to be close. But all in all, I just think the Suns got 3 of the 4 best players on the court. So, I just think a lot of these games are going to be winnable for the Suns, which I think easily will put them in the conversation of 60 wins with the amount of talent that they got. Booker seems healthier than ever. Brad saying he's more committed than ever. And Kevin Durant's no fool. He loves this sport as much as anybody. He knows he's probably at the end of his prime. Let me know your thoughts and opinions and predictions for for the Phoenix Suns as the season nears. I want to thank you if you got to this point in the episode of the Hoops FERRO podcast. It's truly been my treat to deliver you guys another fantastic news-worthy, week of just talking to you about the game of basketball. Highlights are coming really, really soon. I think we're going to start doing a couple preseason podcasts here. That's what I'm really excited about. Talking and telling the stories of the game night in, night out. Y'all got to see some of the stuff that I've been working on in my spare time this offseason on how I'm going to deliver the product to you guys this upcoming basketball season. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned for some preseason highlights. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of the Hoops FERRO podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for the time, love, and support. It's what your boy will never take for granted around here. I'm out.